Hi, FF Brides. This is Alma with Absolutely Fabulous Invitations, and I want to discuss something super important, and that is your wedding invitation wording. Basically, wedding invitation wording protocol, because there are certain protocols that wedding invitations should follow. And now, given that, I am specifically talking about weddings, American weddings here in the United States, because cultures differ substantially all over the world, and I know this video can be seen by others in different countries, so it doesn't pertain to, every place all over the world. It just pertains to American weddings here in the United States. So let's discuss some things that are generalities to kind of give you an overview of certain protocols for your wedding invitation. For specifics, I am going to recommend this book. This is my copy, so it's nice and sloppy. This book, the Wedding Blue Book, it is by Crane and Company. And they say it's the definitive guide to wedding correspondence etiquette. I will put a link to this on my page so that you can pick this up. And there are specifics like, my dad's a doctor, my mom's a doctor. They're the specifics of individual things that can happen that in your particular circumstances, and it gives you information of how things should be worded specifically for those specific circumstances. But let's talk about generalities right now, because there are protocols for these generalities. I'm going to give you an example, this particular example, of a very, very traditional invitation, and it's worded traditionally as well. And the wording is, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Lee Chilton request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter. And it's got the daughter's name and the groom's name. Saturday, the 29th of December, 2012, at 6 o'clock in the evening, Spring Hill Presbyterian Church, Mobile, Alabama. In a situation like this is telling me a lot of things. This is telling me that mom and dad are paying for the wedding, and they are the reason that the wedding invitation is coming from them. We get a lot of questions about wording and how things are supposed to be worded from our brides. And I like to tell them to think of it as a party somebody is throwing, and at that party, you're getting married. So at this particular party, mom and dad were paying, so mom and dad are throwing the party, and Olivia and Cullen were getting married at that party. Therefore, mom and dad are the ones that are inviting. It's being extended from them. So many times nowadays, though, we have weddings that the bride and groom are paying for. So that's why you'll see, in many cases, invitations worded like this, where it's the bride and groom requesting the honor of your presence or the pleasure of your company. Whoever generally is footing the bill for that party is the one who's extending the invitation, and it's the one who will go first up on top, usually, as they're inviting, and this is what's happening. This particular bride and this particular groom are getting married at that place. Now, this traditional wording, the honor of your presence, is requested. That is wording that is actually required for church weddings. If you're getting married in a church, it is protocol that you need to say the honor of your presence is requested at the marriage of, or at the wedding ceremony of. The honor of your presence should be requested for a church wedding. Now, when you're having a ceremony at a venue and then the reception follows at that same venue, you can do things that are less formal, like the pleasure of your company, or we invite you to share in the joy. But specifically for church weddings, the protocol is that you should be using the phrase, the honor of your presence is requested. Now, another thing that we need to talk about is girl goes first. That is super, super, super big. The girl goes first. The bride is getting married to the groom. So even if, for instance, the groom's parents were paying for the wedding, so they were issuing the invitation, it would still be the bride being married to the groom, even though the groom's parents would be the ones issuing the invitation. Now, that also follows when you have parents who've been divorced. The mom goes first. The parents of the bride that have been divorced, the mom will go first. Woman goes first. She goes before the father. And if they're divorced, you would never use, or separated, you never use the and to connect the two as a couple. It is just the name and then just the name. Request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter. Or pleasure of your company as their daughter is united. So one wording, one more specific on honor, British spelling honor. Many times we will see invitations with the British spelling for honor. Generally, when it's a little bit more formal, we'll see that a lot of times. And now, there's this big controversy over whether in the date you say the year 2016 or 2016. Now, I have always understood it this way, and people are welcome to disagree, but this is honor, H-O-N-O-U-R, British spelling. So when you're using British spelling, you use British format for the year, which is 2016. Americans say 2016, so use 2016 when you are doing the, let's see, we've got American spelling here. Honor, the honor of your presence, and the year was 2013, not 2013. So 2013 should be used with the formal spelling or British spelling of honor, because you're always doing consistency. Alrighty, so that covers that. Now, other things we have had questions on, whether the groom's parents go on an invitation. This particular one has the groom's parents on the invitation. And the answer to that is, traditionally, it was whoever is extending the invitation goes on the invitation. So you didn't see the groom's parents on the invitation. But nowadays we have a lot of situations where either the bride and groom are paying for the party that they're getting married at, so they put both parents on the invitation, or everybody's paying, and so the parents of the groom get on the invitation as well. And then that's also just a matter of your preference too, whether you're going to add them to the invitation itself. But technically, the invitation is being extended, in this case, from the parents of the bride. So really, they're the only ones that need to go on that invitation. So another thing that I want to discuss is when you have certain special types of ceremonies, like a Catholic full mass for your wedding nuptials, there is certain wording that goes on your invitation to let your guests know that you are having the full mass for your wedding invitation. So your wedding invitation should be worded in that way. So basically we've got, again, who is inviting, and here is the invite line, and they're inviting you to the nuptial mass, uniting them in the sacrament of holy matrimony, date and time and location. Now, underneath we have what sometimes I recommend my brides do, who are trying to hold their costs down a little bit. If you have an invitation with plenty of space on it so that it doesn't look crowded, when you've got a church wedding and then a reception in a different location, or, you know, ceremony in one location, reception in another location, it serves you to get a nice full piece of paper to print your invitation on, where you can do both at one time. So other than that, I think I've covered the specifics. We always want the woman to go first. We want our wording to follow a certain format. You've got to have all that information, and you want to make it nice and clear so people can follow what it is that they're supposed to do, because we have a tendency as a culture not to read very well. Not very well, but we're just lazy readers. We don't want to have to really concentrate to figure out what you're telling me. So we want to know what this is really quickly, and we want to know where we have to show up and what time. So those things should be on your invitation, and those specific things are good to note for following. And besides that, very specifics as far as titles, etc., who and how to word those particular pieces. I highly recommend this book, and it also has a super great section on how to address your envelopes as well, which is also very interesting, and there are a few rules that you're going to want to follow for that. So until next time, have an absolutely fabulous day. Bye-bye.